Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're new to my channel, I welcome you all. I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness and sharing my life stories with suspicious syndrome, OCD, and the like, along with tips and advice along the way, be it your general health versus your mental health. As you know, basically, at this point of time, I am doing the Christmas Vlogmas, getting on the bandwagon with the others that are doing this, be it in my Play NZ community group as well as some other groups that I am with at this point of time, to try and push out as many videos as I can, regardless if it's, you know, health and awareness related versus Christmas related, because as I said before, I might be away as of maybe the first week of January, second week at the least. But as I said, I'll keep you all posted later today after this period. But if you don't see me much and you see those new latest content, if you have subscribed and turn on the notification bell, then hopefully some of that will keep you entertained and, you know, educated while I'm away out of action, regardless what it may be. So in this point of time, basically, I'm going to do a bit more of the health and awareness as well as the Christmas vlogmas. I know I'm going to get a flap on the wrist by some people that will basically tell me, you know, it's Christmas, why should we be talking about the main genre? But some of this may come into effect anyway of some of the ones I'm sharing with you, all based on the health and awareness, especially the ones that I thought to address of the autism and series versus some of the other ones that are coming up next, which is travel anxiety. So this one's going to be the first part of it, the introduction to it, the causes and hopefully the cures, even though we know it's a quick fix. But as a disclaimer, as always, I'm no travel doctor. I'm just your normal everyday Joe blog. So if you see any warning signs and symptoms that correlates to any of the series I've been putting up of the health and awareness and whatnot, seek professional help for yourself or your loved one, or do seeking advice for yourself or your loved one, because I don't forever condone self-harm. So let's begin this. As we know, many of us would love to travel and have the dream and desire to, you know, regardless whatever age in life we are at, you know. And I feel that sometimes, you know, it's in our content that we want to explore the world regardless of it all, and try to take on board and about certain things that may be going on and around the world at the moment. This is basically also just a factor of, you know, the taste factor or whatever reason our heart desire wants to travel, you know. But travel anxiety is very common, however, and many people, they may have not, you know, traveled outside of their, you know, continent or outside of their skin or comfort zone. And many people are simply just afraid of traveling, you know, regardless if it's by air, by boat, by car, what have you. Some people may not even realize it, and those views make it much harder for the ones to travel for work or pleasure. So it robs us from enjoying ourselves, you know, just taking in the scenery of some sort or what have you. I'm hoping today for this video, as well as the second part, we'll explore the idea of travel anxiety, as well as providing some tips and helpful information along the way in which what you can do to reduce this anxiety in the near future if you do decide to travel. So travel anxiety is often due to life anxiety, you know, of what we go through. Are you the type of person that finds yourself anxious most of the time, even when you're not traveling? The more anxiety we experience in our daily life, the more likely we'll experience travel anxiety, however, sadly but true. How you may have travel anxiety and you might not even know it as a question you may think about, you know, is a good way about it. Travel anxiety is such a complex issue that not many people will be aware of or have the anxiety without realizing it's, you know, as I said before, some of the signs and symptoms of certain everyday disorders, or shall I say conditions, do intertwine with one another. There are those that find that they'll make an effort to avoid traveling as best as they can, like not buying a ticket or, you know, thinking up everyday excuses, even though many people think, you know, with these excuses in mind, that, you know, we get into the world and day now of society telling us to get over it, you can fix it, blah blah blah. But the list goes on, but these everyday excuses ain't everyday excuses. This is real life for most of us, of what we go through. Because the idea of traveling makes them so anxious, yet they don't even realize that they have the travel anxiety in the first place. Those with persistent generalized anxiety and panic attacks are also prone to travel anxiety, simply because travel represents change and distance from the comforts that they're used to, you know, and the familiarity of the same scenery around day in, day out. If you haven't taken any anxiety tests, I suggest maybe you should do this online somehow. If you want to know more, I can hopefully find it and link it up in the description. Causes of travel anxiety. There are many, you know, causes for travel anxiety to persist. It is unlikely to have one of the specific causes here, however, of what I'm explaining to you. Many people have travel anxiety their entire lives. Others seem to develop the anxiety either because of some experiences or from nothing at all. Some examples of travel anxiety may include the following, however, of what I'm sharing with you all. Fear of flying. Probably the number one issue with travel anxiety is this. Fear of flying is a very common phobia due to a broad range of reasons and factors. The lack of control is one, the changes in the air pressure, the discomfort, the turbulence can all contribute to the fear of flying, especially as we age. Since most travel involves flight, it's not uncommon for those fears to interact with your ability to control your anxiety. Another one is number 2, horror stories. Some people are influenced by the worst case scenario stories they hear on the news from time to time. You may not even realize that you're influenced, but when you hear some news articles about kidnappings, injuries, etc., it's easy to subconsciously associate travel with the worst case scenarios of the what ifs, could be, should be, and the rest of it. Home comfort. Some people also develop a fear of being in a place so far from home because their home is their source of comfort and stress relief. It's very common in those with panic attacks, for example, because their home becomes associated with being safe and their safe haven or safety net to come home to. The idea of leaving their home for an extended long period of time then becomes very stressful, overwhelming in the midst of other feelings and emotions like a roller coaster. This can affect those without an anxiety disorder as well. Post-trip worries. You might not have travel anxiety before the trip, but you may find that it may develop travel anxiety during the trip. This type of anxiety can be due to a number of issues. Again, this may include the stress of planning, dealing with the trip needs, the lack of comfort you have in the area, the trouble you have communicating with others if need be, with communicating to people on plane or off board, and even just the jet lag anxiety that comes along with it from a long distance flight. But this is just a simplified list, however, of what I'm sharing with you all. You might not even know the exact reasons that you have while this travel anxiety develops. It's possible and important to understand what your specific worries are, the causes and triggers. While we get to that, I'll get that in a moment, but it isn't always possible to know why you have these worries. Travel anxiety affects many people in many different ways, as you guys are aware of, and when it does arise, it can be fairly disruptive. Now you may be wondering how to overcome travel anxiety, which I'll be bringing up more on the second piece as well, but these are just a brief few. Of course, knowing these issues is only the first step to overcome this. Ideally, you'll also want to learn how to overcome your travel anxiety and travel much more easily. Because of the following tips and strategies to make travel anxiety easier for yourself, don't avoid it as number 1. If you want to travel or you have to travel, don't avoid buying the ticket if you don't have to, and don't push the date off of that vacation that you have to go for. The act of avoiding something fearful actually will increase the future fear, because by pushing it back, you've created what's known as the negative reinforcement. You reinforce the fear by avoiding it. If you really want to overcome your travel anxiety, you need to take action and not let yourself fall into the avoidance trap. Number 2, figure out your fears. While you may not know what your fears really are, you can often figure out what your fears are. Are you afraid of flying? Afraid of being away from home? Are you afraid of the stress of planning a vacation? Figure out what specific fears they are and write them down in a list. Knowing your fears will give you an opportunity to evaluate them and actually, hopefully, bring a less stress-free feel to them. Number 3, be prepared way in advance. Start your trip anxious and your trip will often remain anxious. Do your best to pack, plan your mail, see if anyone's going to look after your home, etc., several days in advance. That way, the day before you leave and the day you leave are simply you grabbing your stuff and just go out that door, and you'll be stress free, usually, without the feeling of being hectic at the beginning that most people experience when they do travel. Have your entire trip planned as best as you can too, so that you're never worried about what you're going to, where you're going, what you're doing, etc., etc. Number 5 on the list is have someone to call at home. You may also want to consider having someone that you can call if you're experiencing some anxiety, like a friend or a family member that you can trust. Ask someone you know that will be around. Tell them that you have travel anxiety and want to know that they'd be available if needed to call someone, day or night. Knowing that person is there is a good way to hopefully be enough to show a major impact on these anxiety levels that you may feel in the first place. Take vacation breaks. If you find that your anxiety while on trip is acting up, take a short break from your vacation. Don't try to act tough or tough it out or fight the anxiety away. Anxiety is the type of condition that is nearly impossible to fight because fighting it increases the more stress, tension, and more of the negatives, which ultimately creates the more anxiety. Plan an empty first vacation. If you have a fear of traveling in general, make your first vacation something where the entire goal is to do nothing but get used to the idea of traveling first and foremost. For example, catch a plane to a location near a beach and spend each and every day just sitting on the beach, just relaxing, reading a book, what have you that is calm and relaxing to you. This can help you get used to the act or idea of being on vacation without the pressures that come from some of these ongoing trips. Beyond these travel anxiety ideas, you'll also want to focus on reducing your overall anxiety. Anxiety is a cognitive disorder, however. When you experience anxiety in one area of life, it causes more anxiety in another area of life. If you have any anxiety on a daily basis, reducing that anxiety will provide you with a powerful advantage when it comes to fighting anxiety overall. So this quickly ends a real short brief overview for the introduction to travel anxiety. Give me the like for smashing up the thumbs up. Comment below if I've missed out anything, or feel free to comment if you do suffer from travel anxiety and maybe give us a few tips and advice and what you do about it. You know, maybe do a video on it, or I suggest maybe if you've have the guts to just show us your survival traveling flag of what you pack it in for when the anxiety does persist. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, because as I said, I'm trying to do it on the daily, but I can't always guarantee it, but it might be 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Once in that, when you do decide to subscribe and be part of my YouTube fan bam, don't forget to turn on the notification bell on the bottom right hand corner of the screen after you subscribe, so that you can get up to date and posted with my new adventures or my new videos when it comes out and about. Feel free to share these videos around to family and friends, because as I said, some of these videos, especially the health and awareness ones, I believe needs to be addressed regardless to who it may be, so that we can educate and learn from each other. So without further ado, guys, thanks for the support, thanks for watching. Do what you love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out, and I'll see you again soon. Ciao.